Good evening. Melissa Johnson here for day 26 or episode 26 of Melissa Loves to Talk. Um Today is January 11th, 2026, and today is going to be on a more of a spiritual level, not politics. This is something that I've actually been thinking about for a while, and then in church today, the Lord reminded me of this video, so I was like, I think it's time to share this. It really fits in with a lot of stuff that's going on. Of course, because we know everything is a spiritual battle. It is not physical, even though we see in the physical we are in a spiritual battle. And I'm going to show you some things that explain a lot about things that happen to you spiritually that you think are physical, but they're actually spiritual. Um, First, I am going to share some things that are things that have happened to me. And then I'm going to show you a video of something that was something that happened to someone else. Um, this is, um, a very crazy thing. But this is the God's honest truth. This happened to me. We were living in a certain part of Georgia, and it wasn't because of the Georgia. It wasn't about the certain part of Georgia, but we lived in a house. It was new. No one else had lived in it before us. But the house that was there before us did burn down to the ground. It was an empty plot. We put a trailer there. Um So at first, that's the reason why I thought um, that I would have nightmares. I couldn't sleep. And I thought, well, maybe it was because the house that was there before had burned to the ground. Maybe it was like, some demonic spirits from that. I really didn't know. But I couldn't sleep. I would have nightmares. And so people would give me advice and they're like, hey, why don't you listen, play worship music? Maybe it'll help you sleep. Um, and I did that. It did help. But sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night. Um, I couldn't play the music all night. It would have to go off or I wouldn't hear my alarm in the morning to go to work. So it was that too, as it would cut off. And so I would do worship music or soaking music. And then I started doing like where people would read the word to you. I don't know if you ever did that, but certain ways you listen to when people talk to you, it's like soothing. So I would do that, and sometimes that would work. It would at least get me to sleep. Sometimes I would still wake up because of course, again, I have to stop it so that I can wake up, and well, I would hear my alarm in the morning. So this was going on for a little bit, and I had never told anyone about it. But one day I was at church and I was up front because I always go up front during worship. And a woman came up to me and she said, hey, I just want to tell you about this vision I had about you. It was you were in the bed sleeping and there were like spirits flying around you while you were sleeping. And so I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy because I've really having a hard time sleeping. I've been having a lot of nightmares. And she said, well, the Lord said it's something that you bought that you brought into the house. It brought spirits in. Um, I don't know what it is, but if you pray about it, the Lord will show you what it is. And so, of course, like I went home from church that day and just started praying about it because I was like, okay, whatever it is, I need it gone so I can sleep. So I just prayed about it and the Lord showed me my jewelry box and I lifted the lid, and right away I knew it was a bracelet I had bought as a souvenir. And apparently something was attached to that bracelet and I brought it in the house. So I ran outside, threw it in the dumpster, and never had that problem again. So That's why the message that I'm going to talk about today is um, the objects that you bring in your house. So it's not necessarily people. Sometimes, of course, people can bring spirits in, but objects can too. Things that you think nothing about. You just think, oh, I'm buying a souvenir. I'm, well, I'll play the video because I don't want to give it away, but it is, I think, about 10 minutes. I may stop and talk about it just so it's not playing a whole 10-minute video, but it's very interesting. A guy that I work with, he actually goes to my church. He sent me the video, and there was other videos that she made besides that one, so I'm going to talk about another one tomorrow. I was going to talk about both cuz they kind of relate to each other, but I don't want to play two videos that are 10 minutes. And, I'd rather play it and talk about it and then use the other one tomorrow cuz it's not really the exact same thing. Um but it relates to the same thing. So, the video is a woman, I'll give you a background. You'll kind of cuz I'm not going to play the whole video, so I'll give you the background is this woman was a witch. She'll tell you about all that. She is no longer a witch, so that's why she's sharing this because she's no longer a witch and she wanted to share what happened to you, what happened to her. So, again, I'm going to see if this works. It did not work yesterday. My son said it will work, so I'm going to hopefully it'll work.
The first things we were taught was this: if you want to keep a family poor forever, you don't need complicated rituals. You don't need midnight ceremonies. You don't need blood sacrifices. You just need to place three specific objects in their home. Objects so common, so ordinary that they'll never suspect. Objects they'll defend. Objects they'll even treasure. And I placed them in hundreds of homes before Jesus opened my eyes. Tonight, I'm going to tell you exactly what those three objects are, how they work spiritually, and most importantly, how to remove them before they destroy another generation in your family. I was born in Shawama compound, one of the poorest areas in Lusaka. My grandmother was known throughout the neighborhood as a healer. People came to her with every problem imaginable: sickness, unemployment, broken marriages, infertility, you name it. She had remedies for everything. But what I didn't know as a child was that her remedies came with a price, not money, something far more valuable: spiritual access. When I turned 14, my grandmother took me aside, object by Wenzing, hidden occult decor, one evening and said something that changed my life forever. Nomi, you have the gift. I've been watching you. The spirits have chosen you to carry on after I'm gone. I felt honored. I felt special. I felt powerful. That night, she took me to a secret gathering under the Kofu River Bridge. There were 7 other women there, all older, all dressed in white.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to skip a little bit. I just wanted to give you like the background that she's actual witch. They do like their ceremony to make her a witch. So I'm gonna skip that part just so we're not watching all of that. You can go back. This is just YouTube. So I'm gonna skip a little bit just to get to the part that is the main part.
Don't just curse people directly. That's too obvious, too risky. Instead, we plant cursed objects in their environment, objects they touch every day, objects they sleep near, objects they eat from. And these objects become spiritual transmitters, broadcasting poverty frequencies into their lives 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The person never knows why they're struggling. They pray, they fast, they work hard, but nothing changes because the root isn't their faith. It's the cursed object sitting on their shelf, hanging on their wall, or buried under their doorstep. The first object I was taught to use was a broom. Yes, a simple household broom. Most people think brooms are just cleaning tools, but in witchcraft, brooms are spiritual instruments. They don't just sweep dirt, they sweep away blessings, opportunities, favor, and financial breakthrough. Let me explain how this works. When a witch curses a broom, they perform a ritual where they call upon spirits of poverty, lack, and limitation. They stroke the broom bristles while chanting incantations that program the broom to sweep away anything good trying to enter that home. Then they give the broom as a gift, or they sell it at the market, or sometimes they simply leave it near someone's door. And the person picks it up thinking they found something useful. Once that broom enters the home, it begins its spiritual work. Every time the person sweeps their floor, they're unknowingly activating the curse. They're literally sweeping their own blessings out the door. Money comes in and goes out immediately. Job opportunities appear and disappear. Helpers show up and suddenly change their minds. Everything is swept away before it can settle. I remember a family in Mater, a man named Mr. Shawway. He was a taxi driver working hard every single day.
Okay, this one I'm actually gonna skip this. I'm just gonna talk about a broom. Okay, now mind you, she lives in I'm guessing Africa. Of course, the brooms are a little bit different here. We normally buy them at a grocery store or Walmart. Um, we don't normally get brooms as gifts. But I guess if we have a housewarming party or if we would have um a wedding, we may get a broom as a gift. Um Again, I'm not really sure how you would ever know that your broom has a curse on it, but this is something to be aware of if you find one. Okay? Cuz she said they just leave it sitting around. I would assume if you go to Walmart or a place like that, I wouldn't assume that a brand new broom would have this. They do this here because they sell stuff at the market. It's like, just outside market where people just sell stuff to make money. Um, it's individual businesses. It's not like a corporation. Again, not sure if this would be something that would happen in America, but again, if you see one laying on the road or, one by your house, you may not want to use it. Um, again, I'm sure this happens here as much as it does there, or she wouldn't be sharing. Okay. Um, it's just something to be mindful of. Like she said, if you're working extra hours and you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're like, I don't understand why I can't get ahead. Well, this may be one of the reasons why you can't get ahead is because you're literally sweeping your blessings out the door. Now, here, not most people sweep um their trash out the door. I know, in other countries that's what they do. They just open the door and sweep stuff out the door. And that's why she's using that analogy because where she's from, that's what they do. They sweep the floor, they sweep it out the door. So she's saying they're literally sweeping their blessings right out the door because this has a curse on it. The broom has a curse to take away your blessings. Again, I can't say this is something that's happened here, but I would want to be aware. So this is why I'm sharing it. And since the Lord reminded me of this video, it must be for a reason. So, like I said, if you want to be cautious, hey, you go to a Goodwill and they have a broom, you may not want to buy it. I mean, that might be what it's for. Don't buy used brooms. Don't pick a broom up from the side of, someone leans one on your house, throw it in your trash can. Don't bring it in your house. Again, it's so different here than in other countries that we think, oh, this doesn't happen here. Okay. Believe me, it does. It's just different ways because we don't live like these other people. Okay. We live different in America. But like, not many people get brooms as a gift. She's saying they curse the broom, they give it as a gift. They sell it at the market. Again, we don't really have markets. There are some cities that have markets. So if you live in those cities and they have little like markets where you can go in and buy fresh food, stuff like that. We used to have that in Baltimore. I don't know if it's still open, but it was like the Broad Street Market and you could go in there and buy fresh seafood. You could buy fresh fruits and vegetables, and they would have clothes, I believe. So that would be a place that they may want to sell their brooms that are cursed. But most places don't have markets. You have to actually go to a grocery store or Walmart. I'm not really thinking that those brooms would be cursed. Um, But like I said, if you go to a thrift store, I wouldn't buy a broom from a thrift store. I wouldn't pick a broom up if there's one sitting on the side of your house. If you find one, I wouldn't use stuff like that. Again, better safe than sorry. It's never saying don't be afraid, but be aware that this is happening. Okay. Again, she says that she's a witch at this time, not right now because she's telling you about it, but she's saying, her grandmother was a witch and she is sharing all her knowledge of what witches do. So just be aware of things. I'm going to fast forward a little bit and get to the next story because she's just going to tell you of something that happened to a family.
Failed, so I brought a gift. A beautiful new
Oh,
broom with colorful
okay.
bristles. Mrs. Shawi was so grateful. She
Didn't go far
threw
enough.
away her old broom immediately in the corner of their kitchen. For 2 years, sweeping away every blessing that tried to enter their home. They had no idea. They thought it was just bad luck. But it wasn't luck. It object pegged to a souvenirs tied to spirit worship was witchcraft. The second object we used frequently was mirrors. Not all mirrors
Okay, this one, I was not surprised when she explains how they use mirrors because what God told me about mirrors, which I'll share after this.
but specifically mirrors given as gifts or bought secondhand. Mirrors are incredibly powerful in the spirit realm because they are portals. They reflect the physical world, but they also open doorways to the spiritual world. When a witch curses a mirror, they dedicate it to a spirit of monitoring and theft. That mirror becomes like a spiritual camera watching everything that happens in the home. But more than that, it becomes a siphon. It drains the financial energy of everyone who looks into it. Here's how we did it: we would take a mirror and place it face down on an altar overnight. We would burn specific herbs and let the smoke cover the glass. We would speak the names of poverty spirits over it. Then we would wrap it carefully and give it as a wedding gift, a housewarming present, or sell it cheaply at the market. The person who received it would hang.
Sorry, I realized the screen went blank and it was because was looking at my chats. So I'm sorry, I didn't know that was going to happen. I don't know if the video, I mean, if the you could still hear anything. I'm sorry that it went blank.
Hang it in their bedroom or living room, never suspecting anything. But every morning, when they looked into that mirror to check their appearance, they were unknowingly making eye contact with a demonic entity. That entity would study them, learn their weaknesses, and report back to us. And worse, it would drain their financial strength. People would look in the mirror and feel fine physically, but spiritually they were being emptied. I'll never forget a young couple in Kabata, Bolya and Tandiwi. They had just gotten married and moved into a small flat. A distant aunt gave them a large standing mirror as a wedding gift. They were thrilled. They placed it in their bedroom right next to their bed. For the first 6 months, everything seemed normal. But slowly, Bolia started losing interest in his business. He became lazy, unmotivated, constantly tired. Tandewi began having strange dreams of water, drowning, being pulled under. They started fighting over money constantly. Bills piled up. Debt increased. Their marriage, which had started with so much love and promise, became a battlefield.
I'm gonna stop it right there. Because of course I don't want to keep playing their whole story. But um this is why I said I was not surprised they use a mirror. Because the enemy uses the mirror for so many different things. Okay. This was literally draining um their blessings because it had a curse on it. But um the enemy uses a mirror in so different many ways. Because think about when you look in the mirror, you see a reflection of yourself, and most of the time you don't like the reflection. And what I would do is I would look in the mirror and I would actually, I'm gonna put it back on myself while I'm talking since I'm talking for a minute. Okay. So I would look in the mirror and I would pick out all the things that I didn't like about myself. You know, oh, I got bags on her eyes. Oh, my face is broken out. Oh, my hair is a mess. Oh, this shirt makes me look fat. You think of all these things, all the negative things. Oh, I'm ugly. I'm this. I'm that. The enemy uses the mirror for this all the time because we look in it, we see our reflection, and we think that's what we should be seeing, and we think that's real. Okay. And one day I was looking in the mirror, and the Lord said to me, "What I see is that you are beautiful. It doesn't matter what you see, it's what I see." And literally, the way I looked at myself after that was totally different. Do I still have days where I'm like, oh, need to do something with my hair? I don't pick out things in my face anymore. I don't do that like I used to be very critical. I don't do that anymore. You know, I do look in the mirror at my clothes. I'll be honest, sometimes I get dressed and don't even look in the mirror. I just get dressed. So which is bad because I've, you know, got to work and I'm like, oh, my hair's sticking up. Oh, my shirt has a stain on it. This has happened. But you know what? Who cares? Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody's looking at me. No one's going to point it out. Uh, so this is why I was not surprised when she said the mirror. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Not only do the witches use this to curse people, but this is just a tactic the enemy uses in so many ways. Like she said, it's a portal. And so that was very interesting. The broom surprised me, but the mirror did not surprise me. Okay, so I'm going to just play the third thing. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to keep playing the whole, like I told you, I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm not going to tell you how she stopped doing witchcraft. It's none of that. It's just about the things. It's not about all the other stuff.
Button and turn on no miss this. The third object, and this is the one that does the most damage, is cursed jewelry, specifically necklaces, bracelets, rings, and earrings that are given as gifts or passed down through families.
Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about jewelry, because that's what I had, a bracelet. And this was not given as a gift. This was something I bought as a souvenir. So this was interesting because it also made me think about things that are passed down from generation to generation. So,
In African culture, we value family heirlooms. When a grandmother dies, her jewelry is often given to her daughters or granddaughters as a way to remember her. It's seen as a scriptures on spiritual doors, blessing, a connection to ancestry. But here's what most people don't know. If that grandmother was involved in witchcraft, even secretly, her jewelry carries her covenants. It carries her spiritual agreements. And when you wear it, you inherit those agreements. You inherit her bondage. You inherit her limitation. This is how generational curses are transferred physically. I was taught to specifically target families through jewelry because it's the one object people refuse to let go of. Even when a pastor tells them it's cursed, they hesitate. They say, but this was my mother's. This was my grandmother's. I can't just throw it away. That emotional attachment is exactly what the enemy uses to keep them bound. Let me tell you about a case that broke my heart. Even when
So I'm gonna stop there. Um, of course, you don't need to know the story. She told you what they do. And honestly, some of it isn't probably maybe not necessarily um meant to do that. Okay. So maybe it wasn't meant to be passed on and passed on and passed on for generational curses, but most likely it was if it was a witch that was, a seasoned witch, a witch that knows how all this stuff works. So this was very interesting because I know so many people are like that. They're like, "Oh, that was my grandmother's. I don't want to get rid of it." If you know or suspect that your grandmother, your auntie, your cousin, your niece, your mama, anyone that you suspect that could have anything to do with witchcraft and they have jewelry that they left you, throw it away. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. I am very sentimental. I get it. Okay. But after I've had that bracelet that I bought, it was brand new from a, store. It's not worth it. Believe me. So I don't have really anybody watching. I don't know if it's because I came on early or if it's not something they're interested in. I'm sorry. Um, but I feel like this is so important. Again, especially for women, because this is not many men are sentimental and not many men are going to care about jewelry. But um, this is really something that probably keeps so many families in bondage is because they have a witch in their family that they may not have known was a witch. Um, and she doesn't even have to curse the bracelet or the necklace or the earrings. Like she said, it literally just transfers from the person to the jewelry. So the woman didn't have to say, whoever touches this is cursed. Whoever touches this is going to be poor. Whoever touch didn't have to do that. She was just wearing it. She had all these demons on her and they transferred, which I mean could have happened with the bracelet that I bought. It could have been somebody tried it on and it transferred to them. They put it back on the shelf. They didn't want it and I bought it. It could have definitely been something very innocent. Um but and the jewelry that the grandmother was wearing or whatever could have been that. She could have bought it from a store and didn't realize that she's transferring it. So, but more, she said, if you have family that was a witch, do not keep the jewelry. Um, it's just amazing that so many people have never thought of this. I have not thought so much into it until it happened to me. And that's why I'm sharing this so that you can know that witches are real. Number one, she explained. She didn't explain the whole thing. You can go back and watch it. It's on YouTube. You can go back and look at her video. She has a ton of them because, again, she said she was a witch. She got saved. She talks about First Corinthians, and she says, I, now follow Jesus. I want people to know what can happen to you. And she explains what witches do. Witches are real. Everything that God has, they have a counterfeit. So we have the Holy Spirit, they have demon spirits that literally do all the opposite of what the Holy Spirit does. All the things God does, the enemy does the opposite. God blesses, the enemy curses. So this is very important. This probably, if you think about it and go back, probably explains a lot. Like it said, generations of people that are poor because it just gets sent, generation to generation. Generational curses are real. Think about, okay, I'll say for instance, every person in your family's been divorced. That's a generational curse. You're thinking, oh, we've just had bad marriages, whatever. There's a reason. Just like they say, like cancer, okay, cancer's hereditary. It's a generational curse. It's not just hereditary. Nothing's just hereditary. It's a generational curse. And things can happen through objects, which again, I had never thought of. I mean, this happened years ago when I had this bracelet and threw this away. And then someone happened to send me this video probably a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And I was in church today and literally thought of it. And I was like, okay, someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to know this is real. Okay. Like I said, this personally happened to me. So I know it's real. This woman, hey, she could be fake, but she's pretty knowledgeable and I don't think she's fake. I think she's really telling you honest things that witches do. And we need to be understanding that this is real and we need to know how to discern it or be wise and not to buy these objects. Someone gives you a gift of a mirror, I would probably throw it away. Sorry, it's probably beautiful, whatever. I wouldn't take it. That's me. Just because I've watched this video and she said witches use it to cast spells. No, thank you. I'm not interested. Even if it's beautiful, I don't want it. Unless I personally knew the person and I knew 5,000% they weren't a witch. They weren't trying to cast a spell on me. Like we have those little compacts with the mirror in them. Someone gives you, some makeup with a mirror. I probably would not think anything of it. Again, you could pray about it and you could be like, hey, Lord, should I keep this mirror? Should I throw it away? I mean, you could even do that. At least your knowledge. At least you have knowledge of knowing that this could be cursed. So you have the knowledge now and say, hey, should I keep this or should I throw it away? Believe me, it doesn't matter what they spent on it and bought it for you. It's not worth it. It's not worth you being cursed because it could be financial. Like she said, they were having problems in their marriage. So it went past finances. It started going against their marriage. So finances are one thing, but when it's attacking your marriage, that is a whole different story. So this is just knowledge. I'm trying to give you knowledge. And again, I have my experience. She's telling you from her experience what has happened. Okay. Again, you can go on YouTube and you can find multiple videos. The one I'm going to share tomorrow is about houses that they were told they should not go into. Okay. So that'll be, like I said, it's kind of on the line of this, but different. Okay. It's about witches, but it's something a little different. One way, number one, it is a way to keep witches from coming into your house, is the next video. So just to prepare in case you see this later, since you're not watching now, if you catch this later and you're like, oh, how do I keep this from happening? Okay. Uh, anyway, so this is, I know, a little bit different than what I usually talk about, but I did tell you I could be talking about anything on any episode. So this one is something that I really felt led that someone needs to hear this. I don't know if there's generational curses in your family. I don't know if you have jewelry you need to get rid of. I don't know if you have a mirror you need to get rid of. But again, you can pray about it. You're like, hey, I really am really nervous about some of this jewelry that I inherited. Is it okay? Should I get rid of it? Pray about it. You don't have to just assume, honestly. I wouldn't just assume. Like I said, my experience was very specific. Like I said, when I opened the jewelry box, I knew right away what it was. And it wasn't because the Lord said, hey, it's that bracelet right there. It wasn't even like that. I opened it up and knew as soon as I saw it what it was. I never even wore the bracelet. I bought it, put it in my jewelry box, never even wore it. Pretty sure it still had the tag on it. So it wasn't something that I knew, like I wore it and it made me feel weird, so I didn't wear it again. I probably tried it on maybe and said, oh, that's cute, but I don't think I did. I think I just bought it because it was a souvenir for a show. And that's why I bought it. Like I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever wear it, but I'll buy it. Uh so again, I don't know, but I'm hoping someone that needs to hear this is going to hear this at some point. Uh I know this is something that someone's going to be like, "Oh man, I really don't want to throw jewelry away. Oh, I don't want to throw a mirror away. Oh, this is really weird, a broom." I thought the same thing when I was watching this video. I mean, I watched it at work and well, listened to it at work. I didn't watch it. I just had my earbud in and I was listening to it. But this stuff is real. We need to be aware of how real the enemy is, how real it is, and how to fight them. How to fight the enemy is what we need to do. Guess how we fight the enemy? We pray. We pray and we pray. And the Lord tells us how to fight the enemy. You may already know because you already prayed about it and you're like, I already know what to do. Okay. Again, you can anoint your house with oil. I've done that a lot of times. The Lord told me to do it once a week for like a month. Go around, anoint your house, your doors, your windows, even if it's windows or doors you never use. It was just anoint it with oil, pray that nothing would come in or out. It was different things. But I did that for a whole month, once a week. So you can anoint your house with oil. Some people anoint their whole property. They'll go out and just anoint their property. Like I said, you can pray. There's so many different things that you can do to keep spirits from coming in your house or getting spirits out. And again, just pray about it. The Lord will show you. He is so good and faithful. He doesn't want you to be tormented. He wants you to have a restful night's sleep. He wants you to be blessed. He doesn't want your blessing taken away. He doesn't want you using a broom and sweeping your blessing out the door. He doesn't want you to look in the mirror and not like what you see and just see, a fat, ugly person that I used to see. When I would look in the mirror, I would literally pick out and say, I'm fat, I'm ugly, my hair is gross, this, that. The Lord doesn't want that. Um, so these are the things that we need to be ready and prepared for. Know the enemy, know how to defeat the enemy. The enemy is real. People want to believe in heaven, but people don't want to believe in hell. Hell is real. Read the Bible, it's real. I don't know why people don't want to believe hell's real. Because they want to think of everything as, lollipops and rainbows. Hell is as real as heaven. And it was crazy today. The pastor said, you know, hell wasn't created for us, it was created for Satan and the fallen angels. But we messed up and we make it there, but it wasn't created for us. So don't go there. Keep yourself out of hell. There's ways to keep yourself out of hell. Know that hell's real. Read the Bible, read Revelation. It'll tell you a lot about hell in Revelation. You can Google all the scripture that tells you about hell. Sorry, this was not what I was even going to talk about, but I guess someone also needs to hear this. But there's ways to break curses also. So if there is a curse on something that you buy, you may not have to throw it away. It may be a way to break the curse. You know, hey, my grandmother left me this bracelet. I love it so much. I really don't want to throw it away. Pray about it and just be like, hey, is there a way to break the curse off of it so I can keep it? You know, it's a cute little pair of earrings. They match all your outfits. You know, hey, do I have to throw it away or is it a way to break the curse off of them? There may be a way. Again, I have no idea. I just threw the bracelet away. I didn't even take the chance. I was like, nope, I'm tired of not sleeping. I'm tired of having nightmares. I just needed to be gone. I had a job. I worked 10, 12 hours a day. I would sleep 2 hours a night. You cannot function that way. So it's not worth it. So please, if you want, you can look this woman up. Let me see if I can find her name. Oh, it just says The Path of Reawakening. So I'm assuming that's her actual YouTube page. And you can look her up and see all her videos because she has a lot. If you can see on the right hand screen, she has lots of videos. So if you want to look her up and find out anything about her, you can do so. And if you want to watch the whole video, since I kept stopping it, if you want to go back and watch it, you can go back and watch it. It's just the 3 things that keep you poor or something like that. It's called something like that. Um, so I thank you so much for watching. If you're watching, thank you so much. Please like, share. I also am on Spotify, iHeart, and Prime if you want to just listen and not watch. It's a little bit harder to watch if you want to see what she looks like or see her videos. It is a little bit easier to watch, but if you want to just listen, like if you have Spotify that doesn't have ads, you might want to listen on Spotify because if you're on Rumble, if you're on YouTube, there's ads when you're watching this, which I am on Rumble and YouTube. But if you have ads, you're going to just hear all these ads, or you could watch it on Facebook without ads or listen to Spotify without ads if you have, no ads, which I have no ads because I can't stand ads. Someone did gift me a premium membership for Rumble twice. So I've had 2 free months of Rumble Premium. So if you're listening, thank you for that. But I thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope that you can pass on the knowledge if it's not something that you've dealt with. If you know someone that's had this happen or suspect that this has happened to someone, please share this video or share the YouTube video or at least tell them about it. Maybe not necessarily have to watch this. Be like, hey, I watched this YouTube video and this happened. Because that's what I originally did. I just told my friend about it after my coworker showed me it. I said, hey, did you know this? And so, and that's what I'm here for. I'm just here to share knowledge and hope that the person that needed to hear it heard it. That's all I'm here for. So I thank you so much for watching. Please like and share. I will be on tomorrow night. Again, like I said, I'm going to show another video of this woman, and she's going to tell you a way to keep um witches out of your house. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I found that after I found the video that I played. So if you're curious uh, about how to do that, follow me tomorrow. And I'm going to possibly get on early again tomorrow. I did get on a little early today just because I'm kind of tired and I want to actually relax. Today is Sunday, so I would like to relax. When I got home from church, I ran some errands and I did research for this podcast, so I haven't really relaxed. So I kind of want to have the evening to relax. I have to make dinner and then I'm going to relax. So that's why I got on early, which may be the reason why I'm not getting as many people watching. So hopefully people will watch this later. If you like and share it, more people will be able to see it. And if you comment, that would be great too, because that would actually push this for more people to see. Plus, if you have a comment that you want to share, if you have any questions about anything I talked about, you can also comment. I'll see it later. You can message me in Messenger. If you personally know me, you can send me a text. And I thank you so much for watching. Please join me tomorrow around 4:30, 5 o'clock.